This ain't my business, but
It is my business.
I wanted to clear up. I wanted to clear up something that's a big misrepresentation. That I see a lot of people repeat. And so my question is basically this: you did not get out of jail for telling on dead bodies primarily, correct?
No. That come from when I first did Vlad interview. I didn't want to leave nothing out. Even though my paper was sealed, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna let them know. What happened is, like, this is public records. If somebody pull up my case, they'll see every time I go to court, I got life twice. The second time, the prosecutor was open to giving me 30 years. But then in the middle of the sentence, he was like, Yana, how can we let a man back out on the street like this when he don't want to tell us why these murders occurred, what happened, and he said he changed. So the judge would always deny me because of these homicides. He's like, Yana, we got proof with the guy with why you on my co-defendant in jail. They got me and Birdman on the phone talking about it. So they hit me with preponderance of the evidence and give me life. Now, every time something come out, is if it's discretion to the judge, first thing in his mind, well, we not, you haven't been charged for the murders, you haven't been indicted. However, we got evidence that you had something to do with it, so we're gonna enhance you. Every time a new law come out, he would always deny me. So I was like, you know what? Let me go to the state, let me get immunity first, cover myself, and let me just confess to all these murders, as long as they're not gonna indict me or give me a time in the state. So I worked a deal, but the three co-defendants, that's the hot boys, they're deceased. So it wasn't 40 just me, it was all of us, different stuff that they did, but it wasn't, I got out of the Fed just because of that. Mm-hmm. What happens is, in the Feds, whenever you help any law enforcement agency, they have to write a letter to your prosecutor saying, hey, he helped close this, or he helped me do this, and then the prosecutor's got to report it to the court. It is up to the court to move on to reduce your sentence. But that is not how I got out of prison. No, I got out of prison because of Donald Trump First Step Act. When that First Step Act come out in December 2018, everybody that was locked up around my time that was bound by the guidelines became advisory in 2008. And when people, but they didn't make it retroactive, so people like me that came in the 90s, I was still stuck. Mm-hmm. But everybody else that was coming in, they wasn't hitting them how they was hitting us. So now when the First Step Act come out, it's under compelling circumstances. Whereas back then I was stuck on this, but now you have the discretion to reduce my sentence. If I stayed out of trouble, if I got license certificates, a lot of good stuff you did in prison, the judge could reduce your sentence. But I never try to clear up the getting out of jail on 40 because that's what kept me going on the internet. People intrigued with that kind of talk, so I just take it run. The internet love lies. So I was like, all right, let's run with it. Let's keep it going. Before you know it. First it went from, he told on 40 people. That's what Boosie said. Then it went to, he killed 40 people. Then it finally went to, it was him and the rest of the hot boys that did the 40. So it was different stories going on. And I just let them fly.
Yeah. So I got two questions.
I got two answers.
No, that's right.
Mr. Answer right back.
Big fan.
I ain't man. So look, because you say you had 2 life sentences.
No. I had life plus 20.
Oh, life plus 20.
And I got locked up in March 6, 98. June 24, 1999, the judge sentenced me to life plus 20. My case got overturned March 6 of 2002. And when I went back to court, he gave me life again, but ran it 20 years with the life.
So at the time of sentencing or any time after, not counting recently, did you think you were ever going to come home? And how did you ensure that you were going to have immunity before going forward?
It's a prosecutor I knew. A DA I knew. That studied at Tulane University. I know her very well. And she became a DA for the state. And her and I had dealing from the street, so she already had brought it to my attention. The reason why we didn't go all the way through with it when I first got locked up, because it was a person she wanted me to talk on. He's deceased now, Tenwell Fat. And I was like, nah, that's the homie, I ain't doing that now. I could do something to close some cases where it's just immunity and everybody dead, I'd do that. But she was like, "Oh, we got this big case." I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not with that." So for a minute, I thought I was stuck because I didn't go to trial and I pled guilty to 20 years. I got 2 PSIs. I pled guilty to 20 years. While I'm waiting to get sentenced, a guy called my code, going to sell my co-defendant Blabber. "Hey, man, I know Gangsta silent, but you think he gonna tell him some of the murders y'all did to get his 20 years cut?" My co-defendant, "Nah, I know he wouldn't do that." However, if he was to do that, that's what he put me in it. By me having an 848, which is a CCE, continuing criminal enterprise, it's 20 to life. So the judge, they got the gun, because it was a gun the state had. They went and got the gun and ran ballistic on it. There was 2 bodies on this one gun. So they took that, and with me and Birdman talking on the phone, because they already had my phone tapped, they took that conversation, because I named our gun after this project we was beefing with. They took the 2 bodies, they took the conversation, me and Bird. Bird just asked me, say, "Was the gun dirty?" I said, "That was Calio." He was like, "Oh," and we left it alone. But the guy going to cell talked about Calio. So they took that, and they gave me a life sentence. It's in my sentencing transcript. That's everything I'm telling you. I was like, "What the world?"
And did you ever so I know you say you knew the prosecutor, so I'm guessing y'all might have had that conversation earlier on or something.
No, because she was in the. All right, you got prosecutor is federal, the DA is state. So she was in the state first. She went from the state, then she transferred over to the feds. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So did you feel like it was a chance you were coming home one day?
At first I did, but when they gave me life the first time, I was like, "Oh, it's over with." But I had gave up my rights to file appeal, so my co-defendant Blabber didn't. When he filed, "This not relevant conduct." Relevant conduct mean if we got a drug organization and we front somebody some pounds of weed, they don't pay it back, and we hit him up because of the weed. Now we all get busted behind the drugs, and somebody cooperates and say, "Oh yeah, but they hit such and such up, one of the bottom boys behind some weed."
Mm-hmm.
They can say, "Okay, that's relevant conduct. I mean, that's relevant to this weed conspiracy." So they couldn't prove these 2 homicides had something to do with my heroin conspiracy.
Right.
But the judge hit me with it first. Anyway, it was an upward departure. No, it was by the preponderance of upward departure, relevant conduct. But when the Fifth Circuit overturned my co-defendant, because they couldn't prove that these people were killed behind my heroin conspiracy, my co-defendant went back in October 2000. When he went back, the judge took 80 months off his sentence. So I was like, well, he have a worse record than I have. I only have a attempt murder, drop down aggravated battery, and a gun on my charge. I've been charged with all homicides in the state. We look at my PSI, so I was like, as far as sentencing, the most they can give me is 25 years. But I was supposed to get 20. I was like, the most they can give me on this guideline is 25, so I'm good. So when I go back 2 years later, it's a change of attitude now, because it's more people I knew from the streets that were locked up for murders and all kind of stuff, and they knew I was tied in with the people, or I knew them. So they felt like, okay, we're going to press them to either cooperate or help tell on these, get these. I'm like, "No, I ain't doing that."
Mm-hmm.
So that he hit me with life again. But what blew my mind was, in his sentencing transcript, his exact words were, he told my co-defendant, he said, "I believe you orchestrated the murders. I believe the guns were yours." But he still gave him a sentence reduction.
Mm-hmm.
Then he granted my co-defendant 2-level reduction. It's a 2-level reduction came out 2014. Everybody who had a drug case, you get 2-level drop. He granted my co-defendant. I said, okay, they gonna grant me. The reason why I couldn't get granted that, because I have a CCE. My heroin conspiracy, the most I could have gave him was 5 years. But my CCE, the Kingpin statute, it starts at 20 years. So that's why I couldn't reap the benefit from that. But my mind always was stuck on, man, I gotta get out some kind of way. But when they kept denying my appeal, I was like, man, I'm stuck. But then I knew what Stunner and Slim holding me down. I was like, I got some kind of hope. You can always pay for a lawyer.
Shout out OG Blabber. Okay.
Okay.
Additionally, like for those who don't know, your original conviction was just drugs.
Yeah, it was. Well, I had 2. I had solicited to commit murder, and I had the 848 conspiracy to commit. 848. But I had the heroin within the conspiracy.
Yeah.
Well, right, first I had 3 counts first. I had conspiracy to 6 ounces of heroin. They dropped that, but they got slick. They dropped the 6 ounces of heroin, but they still kept the heroin in the 848 because you need drugs in your 848. You got to have 5 or more workers. And I had, so let's say to commit murder because I told one of my co-defendants, I said, look, the people come down from New York, we're going to tie them up and we're going to kill them. He said, man, we ain't kill them in my house. I said, man, we're going to tie them up and do them later. So by me posing a question to him, and he said no, that's why I got solicitation commitment. But if he would have said, yeah, I got conspiracy, both of us would have been charged with this. I was just charged with it. So I asked him. I mean, because I told him.
This ain't my business, but I just know about it.